Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us again this Monday. Um, I think we have a super special show for you today. This edition has one of our, what I call our legacy businesses here in our community, which means that it's a multi generational business handed down one generation, two generations. We actually have three-generation businesses here in our community. But today we are on the west side of town, over at a very special location. Most people know it. It's Terry's Ace. And this is a great business that we've had in town, handed down father to daughter now. So we are going to find out about their story today. And so with us here at Terry's Ace, we have Grace Smith, who is the current owner of Terry's Ace. So let's chat with Grace and find out their story about this great business. Hello, Grace. Welcome to our show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi.
Well, it is during this video series, we've also been trying to highlight some of the what I've called the multi-generational businesses. And while you might be the new owner, this business has been in business for many years. How long has Terry's Ace been in business?
We've been in this location since 2005, so coming up on 20 years.
Oh my goodness. But that's just 20 years at this location. So that's kind of one of the questions that we ask is, can you tell us the story of Terry's Ace? Has it always been Terry's Ace? And have you always been, you said 20 years in this location. So obviously you've been in another location. Can you give us the story of how it's become Terry's Ace?
Yeah, evolution is the name of the game for us. So Terry, my father, started Ace in Pagosa in 1996 is when he opened a hardware store. And that was at the downtown location on Putt Hill, where he had a lumber yard and built a hardware store from the ground up to complement that. And that was there until about 2009. So for a period of time, there was two locations. And then the current location, which is focused on our home goods, is going to be what has carried us forward.
So we're in a section of Terry's Ace that is a little bit more than what we would consider a hardware store. So can you tell us, does this kind of, there's also, you've kind of done some rebranding, at least for maybe the home goods section, and it's Terry's Colorado Home Supply. Can you tell us a little bit about this edition?
So the furniture aspect, we've got mattresses, we have upholstery, we've got tables, wall art, things that you would find in your home, things that make it a home, functional pieces, and then fun stuff. So this is going to be a result of there's nowhere else to buy furniture. I shouldn't say nowhere else, but there's not a lot of options in Pagosa. So we focus on made in American goods. We focus on custom upholstery. We have motion furniture. Serta mattresses we carry. Those are made in Denver. So a lot of goods that are going to be American made, domestically sourced. And then we do lodge, contemporary, a little bit transitional style. So things that are going to be geared towards living in the mountains and kind of having that cozy feel. Terry's Colorado Home Supply is going to be the aspect of our business that focuses on that home furniture, and that's going to be differentiated from Ace hardware goods that are going to be utilitarian. It can be a little hard to get excited about nuts and bolts and light bulbs and plumbing, to be sure. So this is going to be the fun side of the business where, again, we've evolved as a result of needs in the community where it's like we want to shop for things and we've got the square footage to have fun with it.
So Grace, has this home supply section always been a part of Terry's Ace when it opened?
No. So I think originally there was a lot more hardware and some appliances. And then my father loved home decorating and he loved furniture. He had very good taste and fun with that. So I think log furniture was going to be in the store when we first opened. That nice aspen log, again, very mountainy. And I think in 2010-ish is going to be when he actually, in the old hardware store, opened a furniture store. At that time, it was an empty building. The hardware business was gone and the lumber yard was gone. And the real estate was sitting there. And so it turned into a full furniture store. Just as opposed to driving a few towns away, it was a place to get furniture and appliances. We've downscaled it from there and moved it, consolidated it to a single location. We stock everything on our floor. We sell pieces that we have stocked as seen. We don't warehouse anything, so it's a lot of one-off and it's a lot of custom pieces that we've selected and picked out and chosen to be a part of our mix.
So Grace, one of the questions that we've asked our business owners is, having been in this location 20 years plus longer, certainly it's probably longer than you are old, as I always say. However, you have been running this and your father ran this and have seen the changes in the community. Mm-hmm. How have you as a business and an industry kept up with those changes? Certainly the real estate market has gone up and down, the building market has gone up and down. How have you been able to maintain a successful business over decades and track those changes? And how has your business changed to accommodate those peaks and valleys?
I think Terry's strong suit was being flexible and always shifting and reinventing, and consistency is good, but he was constantly looking for opportunity. So I think it's good to have some predictability for your customers, but to be able to pivot and be flexible and change and be constantly reevaluating where you are and where you're going is going to be important to that.
And is that something you feel that you learned, being the owner and taking this over? Tell us your story of how you decided you grew up here, you left. What made that decision for you to come back to Pagosa?
For me personally, I think it was just feeling that there was a good thing here and wanting to be a part of making sure there was a continuation of Terry's Ace hardware in the community, and knowing that was important for both the staff that we had here that I was familiar with, as well as the customers. And I couldn't imagine Pagosa without Ace hardware. And so to be a part of making sure that was a continued presence was just important to me in the short and the long term, regardless of what that looked like.
Now, had you worked at Terry's Ace, or did you just kind of pop in as the owner and say, here I am?
I've been a part of working here in all the aspects of Terry's business since I was little. My first job was folding brochures for log homes, and my second job was cleaning shelves. At Terry's Ace here, I cashiered, I moved furniture, I helped buy stuff, I was a floor manager. I did as much as I could before I took over, and I loved all of it. I think cleaning is still my favorite thing to do.
Well, you can come to my house. How's that? Let's shift for just a minute, because we talk about our business community and their give back to the community. Terry's Ace has always been known for their generosity from your father, certainly prior to my tenure, but part of the Chamber of Commerce, a huge part of the business community and that development, but also heavily involved in giving back to organizations in some way, shape, or form. I mean, there's certainly stories. Terry's Ace was certainly, award winners of Chambers Awards in the past, and the community give back has been a huge part of that. How do you choose? Because you could give to every organization all the time. How do you handle that community engagement, and how do you choose to give back to the community?
I think the guidance that I was given was to focus on those that are in the most need, and that was going to be the older population and the children. Those are going to be groups that we can actively support and have a lot of impact with. Um, Beyond that, I like to support publicly accessible community groups and events, and things that are going to be building and giving back to the community. So, things that hopefully myself and you and anyone else can benefit from and take advantage of. So, um, but we try not to say no, and it's hard, but unfortunately we have to. So we're really focusing on fully accessible things and places and events.
So, Grace, now having been the owner for years, do you have any words of wisdom? We've certainly also talked about peaks and valleys in our community and the seasonality. Certainly, you support a more local based instead of the visitor based, but does the seasonality of Pagosa Springs, how does that affect Terry's Ace?
We fluctuate very heavily seasonally, and we're always the monkey in the middle because we span so many different categories, not in product, but just in the draw that we have. So our main focus is always going to be supporting our local community. Um, and we're not a souvenir shop, but we have people that can't drive through town without stopping to look. And so there's a lot of appeals that we're trying to hit there and making sure that we're interesting and we're changing. So as far as what we do as a business to just, I guess, stay with the times is just to constantly be evolving and changing. So back to that theme of kind of how we got here in the first place, which is never not looking for opportunity to change and do something different. We try and